Has anyone legitimately slapped someone else? Not a play slap, but a good hard 5 fingers across the face? My younger brother was visiting me at college my junior year. He was going through a rough patch and just looking to get out of his house and spend a few days with me and my friends. One night we're relaxing and just having a few beers in my room, when this butthole who was known to cling to our group of friends shows up. This guy sucked. He walked out of our own college graduation because our commencement speaker was black. Yep, none of our friends liked him, yet for some reason, he was always around. It took less than 5 minutes for him to start verbally laying into my brother, who was a meekish, bespectacled kid at the time. I asked him to stop. He continued going. I explained that the kid he was making fun of was my brother, and that he should stop or leave. He kept going. I told him to leave, and he wouldn't. I was enraged at this point. I'm not a violent person, had never been in a fight, but I knew I needed to do something. My thought process was something along the lines of, if I try punching this douche, he's going to lay me out, but if I slap him. So I casually walked across the room, put my drink down, and slapped the ever-loving crap out of this fuckhead as hard as I possibly could. As in, there were instant hand-shaped red marks on the side of his face. The room fell completely silent. He looked me right in the eye, completely stunned, tears welling in his eyes, and just gathered his things and left. I don't know that I've felt more badass in my life. Goddamn, who knew how powerful slaps are? I got robbed once at knife point by 2 fake hard-boss kids I knew from high school. This was a few years after we graduated. A few hours after the fact, I was doing laundry and in walked one of the guys who did it. He didn't recognize me right away, so I walked right up to him and slapped him hard in front of 2 other people in the laundromat, who then just stood there and watched the whole thing unfold. He fell backwards and kind of sat there in shock as he realized who I was. I told him I wanted to know where his friend who took my money was. He sat there on the ground and started to laugh and said he wasn't going to tell me. So I reached down, grabbed his shirt collar with my one hand and started slapping him again. I stopped after 2 more slaps and asked him again. He tried to stand up while cursing at me, so I slapped him a 3rd time. Then his eyes started to well up and he sobbed a little while telling me I was a P. I asked him one more time and he started to say, "I'm still not Bam." I slapped him again, but he turned his head and I just grazed his face. It actually frustrated me, so I slapped him again, this time boxing one of his ears. He sat on the ground and cried, all red-faced and snot-nosed, and told me where his friend was. I went to his friend's house. He was living with his mom, and knocked on the door. His mother opened the door, and after I explained the situation, she made her son pay me back before kicking him out of her house. I win. I thought you were gonna say his mother opened the door, so I slapped her. In the army, during combative training, we had something called slap drill. Basically, get your knees facing someone arm's distance away, and slap each other one at a time as hard as you can. Didn't stop until the cadre thought you hit each other as hard as you could. Usually went 6 or 7 rounds until you were done. Then you wrestled to submission. Freaking sucked. In this case, army equals gay P studio. Had a guy be a total douche and assault to a girlfriend of mine right in front of me, calling her ugly things. I told him off in no uncertain terms and he sneers, "What are you gonna do about it? Slap me?" Slap. Made his cheek red and all swollen, so it was a good one. Funny thing was, he went and thought about it, realized how out of line he was, and actually apologized to both of us later. He even thanked me for calling him out for his behavior. Slapped him so hard he developed morals. When I was in the 6th grade, there was a 7th grader named Evan that rode my bus. He was a complete and total butthole and bully. One day, after making fun of me and one of my friends, and otherwise being a dong, I lost it. I'm a weak little ginger kid. He's 6 feet tall and plays football. I slapped him hard enough to leave a handprint. It felt great to do that, except for the part where he gave me a nosebleed afterwards. Doesn't matter if he retaliates. He still got slapped. LOL. When I was about 14 or 15, an older guy I didn't know ran up behind me and squeezed my butt, automatically spun around, screamed "frick off," and slapped him across the face. I've done this many times. I hate when the man gets offended that you slapped him. Oh, but grabbing a young girl's butt is okay. I'm a dude. There is only one time I can remember slapping somebody in the face in a violent, non-joking manner. I was at a party and a good friend of mine who was very intoxicated took a swing at me for some trivial reason that I can't even remember. He missed, and I took him to the ground and pinned him there. He kept struggling, trying to hit me, even trying to bite my hands at one point. I didn't want to hurt him, so I started slapping him in the face really hard repeatedly until he decided that he no longer wanted to fight. We continued being bros almost immediately after that. This unexpectedly positive conflict resolution brought to you by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When I was in 8th grade, I slapped a girl on my bus after she slapped me. I'm male. We were arguing about whatever stupid crap 8th graders argue about, and she got offended by something I said and slapped me. I honestly didn't even think about it and on instinct slapped her back. She was pretty amazed at what I had done, and just stood there staring at me. Everyone on the bus got real quiet, as if nobody knew what to say. Then my friends started laughing and said, "Don't dish it out if you can't take it." I didn't hit her hard, but it was a satisfying slapping sound on her face. Just a quick pop like she had given me. It's the only time I've ever struck a female for any reason. If someone hits you, you can't hit them back. It's got nothing to do with gender, it just has to be proportional. If someone taps you and you beat them unconscious with a shoe, that's out of line. If a lady slaps you, she can expect a slap back. I'm a lady. I've never hit anyone that didn't hit me first, male or female. When I was a freshman I went to the school winter dance. They required at least a skirt for girls, and since I didn't have a dress I wore a skirt and nice shirt and made sure my mom approved. While I was there my former friend started laughing at me then yelled that I looked like a witch. I was already pissed at her for years of tormenting me, so I hauled off and slapped her across the face making her stagger back. Years later I still feel pride over that slap. My friend and I once got into a slap match at a party. We were both pretty drunk, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, slap me," being the good friend that I am. I smack him hard across the face. After realizing how much fun it is to slap people, I slap him a few more times, even harder. He doesn't even flinch. He is a big guy. I've had my fun, so I stop. Then out of nowhere he slaps the crap out of me, sending my glasses flying. Then we sat there and giggled for about 10 minutes. It was a good night. Holy crap, the exact same thing happened in my garage at one of the parties I have. Two friends. The one slaps the other 5 times and he just takes then he does it once more. I guess 6 was the limit. And bang, his glasses were sailing across my garage. Yes, a classmate pulled my hair and my teacher told me I could hit him back. I nodded, turned around, and slapped him with all the strength in my little 6th grader body. He cried and the teacher just whispered, I meant punched his shoulder. My friend once told me when he was exceptionally drunk at a party to slap the living crap out of him. I of course obliged, and slapped him as hard as I possibly could. He passed out and we drew dongs on his face. This is the only peaceful story here. A high school student I was mentoring, Raphael, was 18 and to a degree, raised himself since he was 10 or so. His dad was single and a civil engineer who would travel 4 weeks at a time, leaving the kid with neighbors to check up on him. One day he was talking about how he hated his dad, bounding around on his front porch about how he embarrassed him and was never around. He was talking angrily, almost nonsensically, about how he wanted to kill him. I didn't think he was going to kill his dad, but would get himself in trouble and probably catch a beating from his dad or the cops. I foresaw a situation where he was threatening his father intensely, but no weapon, or plan, or means, or genuine intent. After almost an hour of trying to calm him down, I gave him a smack across the face in an attempt to get his attention. I explained, prison sucked. He was 18 now and if he did something, he could end up in prison, and a smack in the face and nothing compared to beatings he could catch from people who hated him or just wanted to prove something. Told him he needed to make something of himself, and planned to get away from his dad if he didn't think he cared about him, do good in school and get into college. He started crying and said he wished I was his dad. He graduated a few months later and joined the Marines. He's stationed in Southeast Asia. I don't know if he's in Korea, but he posts pics and statuses about there a lot. That ended randomly. I hope your friend's doing better now. I was in 11th grade. I had convinced myself that even when the boy I liked was mean to me, he was just showing his affection that way. Yeah, I know I was stupid. Anyways, I was walking to lunch with my friends when he comes up behind me and grabs my right arm and twists it behind my back. At first I thought he was playing around and flirting, but then he twisted so hard I felt my shoulder pop out of place. I started screaming and yelling for him to let go. Even my friends were yelling at him and kicking him, but he kept on pulling harder. When he finally let go, I turned around to face him with tears filling my eyes and slapped him as hard as I could across the face. He was shocked and went to punch me in retaliation, but a teacher coach came out in time asking if there was a problem, so I just walked away. In hindsight, I should have pressed charges. I never told my parents. It was so painful. I had a friend help me reset my shoulder, but to this day, I don't have full range of motion. The bastard deserved more than a slap. Last year at Thanksgiving at my parents' house, my wife and I got into an argument and I happened to call my wife a C. No, it wasn't my wife that slapped me. My mom heard, walked over to me in the kitchen and gave me one of the hardest smacks I have ever received. My wife and mom got along pretty well before that incident, but let's just say that sealed the deal on them being best friends. I'm not sure if I should upvote this because your mom is awesome now, or downvote because you called your wife a C. Hey, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say it was a weak moment for you. Upvote. I was team captain of the wrestling team in high school. My younger brother was on the team, and between his stuttering and his overall slight awkwardness, some buttholes on the team used to really delight in being mean to him. One day at practice, this kid started teasing my brother a little bit. He started getting flustered and then I could hear him start to stutter. Then the kid started making fun of my brother's stutter. I couldn't believe what I was hearing and I just totally flipped my crap at this kid. I told him to shut the frick up and apologize, but he refused. We weren't allowed to do a closed-fisted hit, and I didn't want to get kicked off the team, so I just hauled off and slapped him iron palm as hard as I could. He went tumbling to the ground shrieking, "You fricking slapped me." Then he got up and ran out of the room with tears in his eyes. It felt awesome, and everyone pretty much left my brother alone after that. Good crap. Have I? So many times. I like to slap idiots down. Here's one of my favorites. Drunk friend. Use that term loosely. He is a friend, but he can be quite obnoxious and his goal usually is to be rude. Anyhow, drunk friend being dumb, cuts his hand on a nail. My roommate's girlfriend, who was in college to be a nurse or something, decides to help him out. Disinfect, bandage, all that crap. He, being drunk and his usual rude self, starts yelling at her, tells her to get the frick away from him. He doesn't want help. She says she was just trying to help. He responds, "I didn't ask for your freaking help, did I, B?" At this point, I was not in the vicinity. She gets P, tells my roommate about it. He comes down from his room and confronts friend. Roommate and friend start getting into it. I hear the commotion and come in to find out what's going on. I get in between the two and ask for the story. Lots of drunk people arguing. Note, neither roommate nor girlfriend drink. The story is relayed to the point of then after she tried to help, he told her that he didn't ask for help and called her a B. That was all I needed to hear. At that moment, I raised my hand as though I was reaching for something being handed down from God himself, and dropped the most powerful 5-finger soberizer I could muster across his face. He got mad and went outside. No retaliation, no nothing. I think he took a good minute to think about it and realized he was out of line. You don't come into my house and call my roommate's girlfriend a B when she's just trying to make sure you don't get tetanus. I slapped my then 15-year-old daughter for saying pretty horrible things to me. It had been going on for a couple of years after I divorced her father and she was really going at me. I warned her twice and then I slapped her right across the face. I had never, ever in my life even spanked my kids, but that day, she totally deserved it. I didn't do it with anger. I was totally self-possessed and I would do it again too. She never spoke to me like that again and I have never had to raise my hand to her. She is 18 now and she often tells the story by saying, "My mom slapped me once. I deserved it too. She called me a W and a few other choice things." This was her go-to mode when things weren't going her way. Her father and I had been split for 6 years and every time she was told no, this is what she would do. We were in counseling for a few years. I had in-home therapy, you name it. In this moment, I told her daughter, if you keep it up I am going to slap you. Stop it now. I don't let strangers speak to me like that. Why should I let you? She did it again. I warned her again. I walked away and went to my room. She followed and started again. Slap once. The whole thing stopped and never happened again. My grandma slapped me once. I stood frozen in shock for a good 30 seconds. I slapped my ex-boyfriend across the face when I was 16. We had just flicked and were sitting on my couch. I could tell something was wrong with him and asked him what was on his mind. He then told me that he not only cheated on me, but cheated on me with my best friend at the time. He snuck out of his house late at night, walked to her house, and they screwed. She also had a boyfriend at the time. I was young and enraged and he sat there trying to tell me how it was my fault for letting us be friends in the first place. I saw red and slapped him as hard as I could across the face. The next day at school, he had a few welts from my fingertips. I also told my best friend's boyfriend. He dumped her. Not my classiest moment, but felt good, man. I don't see how that is unclassy at all. I had a friend who was hospitalized because he had a collapsed lung. Thanks Stratop 3R. For the third time due to other health issues he has that I won't go into right now. Anyways, he was in the hospital and doing pretty bad. Mentally, I felt really sorry for him. So I was at a party during this time and another friend of mine made a joke about my sick friend and his lungs. I don't even know what it was anymore. I just know that I found it really unfunny and disrespectful. So I slapped him right across the face, without even thinking. Maybe a punch would have been the manlier solution to this, but it happened so fast. I just slapped him instinctively. He threatened to beat me up afterwards. We weren't that close friends, but never made a move. I didn't care anyway. What he said wasn't okay. 3 years later, my other friend, the hospitalized one, still doesn't know I did that for him. I was in a bar a few weeks ago, and as I'm walking through the crowd some guy reached out and squeezed my butt. Not even a pinch, but full hand on butt grab. I slapped him hard across the face. For a moment he looked at me like he wanted to hit me back, but he backed down and walked away. I also have a slap saved up to be used on my best friend whenever I want. She told me to punch her in the face if she was still at her job that she hates. A year later, 1 year later, she is still there. I decide I don't want to punch my best friend in the face, so we decided instead of a punch on the selected day, I get one slap, to be doled out whenever I feel like it. We're going camping this weekend for the holiday. This might be the time to use it. My sister. I was 16, off from school because of a recent surgery. My 14-year-old sister wanted a ride to school from my mother, who was off of work to care for me. The school was maybe a 10-minute walk from our house. It was right down the street. They had been going back and forth for about 20 minutes and by this point my sister was late for school. My mother was on the verge of tears. I hobbled into the living room while holding my side in pain. Told my sister to get to school because she was making our mother cry. When she told me to shut up, I smacked her right across the face. I was shocked. She was shocked. My mother was shocked. I hobbled back to the couch and went back to sleep. I didn't even get yelled at. Little B got her right though. Little sisters are a pain in the butt. In the 8th grade, we had a substitute teacher in chorus, so my friend and I were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In chorus we didn't have desks, just chairs, so we sat in our chairs and the mat would be the ground. One butthole who would pick on me decided it would be funny to accidentally walk into my deck, kicking my cards all over the place. He and his friends were on the other side of the room, laughing. I picked up my cards from the ground and told my friend to hold on to them for a second. I walked straight to this butthole. He had this smug look on his face, like what are you going to do about it? As I was walking up, not hesitating one bit, I swung my arm as hard as I could and slapped him so hard the sound reverberated through the room. Many OS were had. I went back to playing Yu-Gi-Oh! TL. DR. Slapped and butthole. Sent him to the shadow realm, haha. The first time my ex cheated on me, I had a sore throat, so I didn't talk much till I got better and this took a few weeks. By the end of the second week I hung out with him a little and he seemed reluctant to even have a hug. I thought it was because I was sick so I brushed it aside. Later on he told me he cheated on me and he didn't want to come near me because he was guilty. I slapped him with both of my hands at once. It was like a hand-face sandwich. He totally deserved it. I slapped him with both of my hands at once. It was like a hand-face sandwich. This mental image amuses me. I had a guy at work ridicule me for not seeing Menace to Society. I was having a bad day, but this guy is a fake thug and it was really annoying. He said, man, you haven't seen that movie? I should be slap you. I turned in my chair. He was standing, and I told him that wasn't going to happen. He jokingly swipes at my face and I laid him out with the most thunderous of slaps ever witnessed. He pulls himself up and walks away. The people who saw it were in awe. Felt pretty good. TLDR. I have never seen Menace to Society. You should see Menace to Society though. Good movie. When my oldest son was 15, he stole Ritalin from his brother when visiting his mother's house and sold it at a middle school. He lived with me at the time. He was expelled from his school, had many legal issues, etc., which ended up with a meeting at the local courthouse with an anti-social worker who treated us like crap on a shoe. This meeting was to set up a program to help my son avoid jail. After I gave that person a piece of what was left of my mind, I dragged my 6 feet 6 inches, 260 pounds, son out of the courthouse and slapped him hard 3 times in public in front of many policemen. I stormed off to the parking lot with son in tow, all the while being hailed by sir. When we got to the car, our escort talked to both of us separately, found out why I did what I did, calmed us both down and told me how much trouble I could be in. A kindly lieutenant from a large Irish Catholic family lectured me on patience, while a uniform told me to pick my location with a wink. My son refused to press charges and said it was his fault. I know I was wrong in doing it, but this child had been buying liquor and weed for friends for a few years. Due to his size and the stupidity of certain liquor store clerks, he had been doing crap like this for a while and had gotten into trouble multiple times. I have also had the pleasure of making adults cry like little kids. Unfortunately, they were undeserving. Had a friend. She was all drunk and cocky and making an butt of herself. Rather, she thought she was hot crap making fun of some socially awkward penguin, who at the time most looked like he wanted to get the heck out of there, but didn't want to admit defeat either. Finally I just had enough of her. I was embarrassed to even know her. Our social group was made up of outsiders. We were like him before we had each other, and she should have dang well known her place was not to mock for hours on end. So I stormed towards her. All I wanted to do was slap some sense back into her. Before I got to her, 2 guys stood between us. Stop, girl, is what they managed to say to me, before my massive hand swung out and thwacked the both of them across the face with one move. One started crying. Why did you hit me? They both got out of my way. Never did make it the whole way. Other guys wouldn't let me talk to her because they thought she was awesome, vivacious, funny and perfect. Apparently it was only me that had a problem with her victimizing this kid. We aren't friends anymore. TLDR. Collateral damage. The rare double slap. Nice job. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.